This episode of Fertile Talks is sponsored by ilmeds.co, an international mail order pharmacy specializing in fertility medications. If you're looking to save significantly on your fertility treatments without compromising on quality, ilmeds.co is an excellent choice, offering up to 80% of retail prices. And as a special offer to our listeners, use the code FT24 at checkout to receive a $50 discount on your order. For your convenience, you can find a link to their website in the episode show notes. Thank you, and let's get started. Welcome to Fertile Talks, the global podcast celebrating the diversity of fertility journeys. I'm your host, Dr. Yemi Famiyiwa. Whether you're just starting or simply curious, this is your safe space. In each episode, we will bring you expert insights, heartfelt personal stories, and the latest in reproductive health. Our goal is to break down barriers, tackle stigma, and provide support and hope. So whether you're in the Americas, Africa, or Asia, Fertile Talks is your companion on the path to parenthood. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Fertile Talks. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Famiyiwa again.
Hi, Dr. Bo. So nice to be here.
Yes, and we're bringing you our second part of Live from ASRM. Yes, and we decided that we were learning so many fun things. We decided to see if we can bring it down to the level where our patients would understand what we're learning.
Sure.
And why we're so excited and giddy about it.
Absolutely.
So let's start off with the plenary session.
Yes.
Yes. So today, one of the things that they focused on was the environmental phthalates, the environmental disruptors.
Yes.
I talk about that a lot in my podcast, but they went deep into that.
Yes. I had never heard that word before. Phthalates.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I knew about endocrine disrupting chemicals, but there was a particular subset that they suggested makes ovaries age faster and may impair fertility outcomes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in this particular they presented both animal and human data.
Yes.
Where they found out that the presence of phthalates increased markers of ovarian aging.
Yes.
Now, what are markers of ovarian aging? Markers of ovarian aging should include increased scarring in the ovary itself, diminished estradiol levels with time, and of course decreased follicles and decreased AMH.
Yes.
But it was the scarring part that was really unique.
Yes.
And these are the same things that happen with chemotherapy when people deplete their eggs with chemotherapy.
Right. So some of the things that we are around on a daily basis, like our cosmetics and our lotions and even our nail polish, those might be causing our ovaries to age quicker and cause infertility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what was scary was when they showed everybody has phthalates.
Yes.
Everybody. And younger people are getting it more. And you know the scary part? Toys that children play with.
Yes.
That they put in their mouth.
Yes.
Loaded with phthalates.
Yes, and you know what else I thought was very scary was that, well, clearly women have more exposure than men, but it's not even at the highest dose. So you might just say, oh, I'm just going to reduce my cosmetics and my perfumes and all these things. But some of the worst damage was at the intermediate levels, as they find with many of these types of chemicals.
Exactly.
And so it's not just as simple as reducing, because if we reduce it, it actually might get worse.
Yes, so it's I think the scary part is the fact that they're just so prevalent.
Yes.
They're worse in plastic products.
Yes.
So that's one more ding against plastic.
So we should have glass containers for our food.
Yes.
And not be, eating out of plastic Tupperware and all those things. And also looking for that phthalate-free designation, because a lot of products have it now. I did not know this. Like I said, I just learned this word this morning, and so I will be looking for that as I buy my products.
So we're seeing it has the same effects.
Yes.
As chemotherapy.
That's right.
Oh, that's scary.
That is crazy. So that was just mind blowing. That talk. That was pretty incredible.
Yes, that was scary.
What else did you learn today?
Okay, I went to the talk where they talk about cannabis,
Yes.
THC,
Yes.
and the effect on reproduction.
And I didn't get to this talk, so I want to know all about it.
Oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
There's data. They had both animal data and human data, where the size of the testicles, guys, it shrinks it. It really shrinks it.
Yeah.
They did prospective data. These were scientific based. Decreased testosterone levels.
Wow.
Decreased testicular volume.
Wow.
Decreased morphology.
Yeah.
Motility.
Yes.
Increased DNA fragmentation.
That is so bad. Everything about
Yes.
that is bad.
And you know what the scary part is? It can actually affect the methylation on the DNA of the sperm.
Wow.
Okay, now why are we worried about this?
Yes.
Methylation is how you change the signal on the DNA.
Yes.
Like, think of going to a traffic station. Methylation says go this way or go that way,
Yes.
or flip the switch
Yes.
off or on.
Correct.
And those are called epigenetic changes because they can be transmitted
In
to the
generations.
DNA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And the scary part was when they stopped the THC of the cannabis, by the way, there's no safe dose in pregnancy. The effects lingered for almost up to 2 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's men and women
It
who need
was
to be
in that.
concerned.
And
Yes.
there is no safe dose in pregnancy.
Uh-huh.
There were adverse pregnancy outcomes. Again, prospective studies, guys. Prospective.
Wow.
It's
Which is
not-
the highest. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's better than just looking back with all those biases, but
Yes.
you're actually looking forward and trying to get some body data.
So the data is out. It's not safe.
Mm.
And I actually have written several blogs about this on my blog site. I'm about to publish one.
Yes.
So now we're getting scientific data saying it really is not safe.
Yeah.
And for people using it for anxiety or for whatnot,
Yeah.
there may be other things that are safer that you can use.
That's right.
And we as doctors should encourage our patients. Well, let's look at alternatives
Yeah.
that may be safe.
100%. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that
Sure.
because, there's so many things going on at once at these conferences, you really can't get to everything.
No, you can't. So
Sure.
what did you learn today?
Yeah, I think the most fascinating talk I went to, other than the endocrine disrupting
Right.
talk, was about sort of how we should really be helping everybody involved in the process of having donor conceived people.
Interesting.
And so donor conceived, we've had sperm banks since the 1980s.
Right.
More recently, we've had egg donation and egg banks. We have embryo,
Right.
and so when a human is conceived with some aspect or they have some link to a donor,
Yeah.
what goes into that? So 15 members on the ASRM task force, they had these listening sessions. I love that idea, listening sessions, where they heard from donors who felt that they had not been adequately informed about how many sort of children they would be bringing into the world. One man had over 100,
Oh my gosh.
and he didn't know that, and he said it's really affected his life. And then also for these children who are conceived, how to share with them their origin story
Exactly.
and in a way that also gives legal protection to families
Right.
in the United States. And so that was really interesting. And then also to really have these sort of guidelines for parents
Right.
to tell their children.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people want to tell their children, they just don't have the right words.
Words.
And really uniformly. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, we're just not going to bring it up. But truly, in the era of 23andMe and all these
They will find out.
there is no such thing as anonymous donation
Yes.
anymore. It just doesn't exist. And so assuming that this information is going to be available to people,
Right.
how do you create an open and supportive
Right.
narrative, really a love story of sorts about,
Yes.
we loved you so much that, or I loved you so much that this is what we did,
Exactly.
or I did. And so that was very helpful. More to come. They're about to publish their
Awesome.
guideline, and obviously they need funding. But it was just really interesting to hear their perspective and how even though people have a different role in the process, how everyone had the same message, which I just found very beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I went to was talk about how to resurrect the ovary,
Yeah.
especially people with premature ovarian failure
Yes.
or people that had chemotherapy.
Yes.
So it was an excellent study done in China.
Uh-huh.
They've done a lot of both animal studies,
Yes.
and then went and looked at human studies.
Wow.
And they found they could use some stem cells from adipose tissue, so maybe the patients
Yeah.
would give
Fat
their
cells.
own
Yeah.
stem cells, umbilical cord stem cells. But it's not a matter of putting the stem cells in the ovary and everything voila. They had to activate those stem cells in a hypoxic environment.
Oh.
And what they found out was the stem cells were not changing the DNA. All they were doing was reducing the markers of inflammation and aging in the ovary.
Really?
So we talked about how do you know the ovary is aging? Increase fibrous tissue, scar tissue.
Yes.
Decrease blood vessels. So in those ovaries, they found there was increased ovarian vascularization and decreased scarring. So that was the main.
They're coming back to life.
Yeah, so that was the main mechanism. The other thing they looked at was PRP. And this is something that I've always said, that a lot of the data on PRP was done with the old technique of spinning PRP. You know, some people even use inverted tubes, which you should never use. Yeah. But most of the data was using single spin.
Interesting.
So the PRP concentration was never high enough.
I see.
So they've done several, both animal studies and human studies, where they used high concentration of PRP.
Yes.
Not low concentration.
Yes.
Low concentration PRP, you're not going to see any difference. That's why all the studies were conflicting.
Yeah.
The PRP was not high enough.
Interesting.
In the high dose PRP patients, they noticed increased follicular recruitment, increased AMH levels, decreased FSH, and one of the things they also looked at, because PRP releases several growth factors and cytokines, you notice in the ovaries that there were again decreased markers of aging.
Really?
So you have increased vascularization and decreased scar tissue formation.
That's amazing.
In those ovaries.
That's amazing.
And they looked at patients who had premature ovarian insufficiency.
Yes.
Which we both know we would tell our patients, look, there's no point.
Yeah.
You know, they took premature ovarian insufficiency patients and did 2 rounds of PRP, like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And they documented 2 pregnancies. Now that's novel. Because we just don't do that. We don't do that.
No.
You have a POI patient, you tell them that's it.
Right. Now, my understanding, you're doing this in your practice, is that right?
Yes, I do for select patients.
Yes.
And I'm studying what is the outcome, what am I seeing. I have noticed increased follicular, we get more follicles.
Wow.
So now I'm tracking, does that translate to a higher pregnancy, like they found in the study?
That's amazing.
But what I do know, like in our patients who have severely scarred uterine linings, which are very difficult to treat.
Yes, they
People
are.
who have some recurrent implantation failure. Yeah. I have had success in those patients.
That's amazing.
Now I do warn them that these are still experimental.
Of course.
That they're still being studied. But these are patients that, actually the patient came to me and asked, because these are patients that I told, I'm so sorry, you need to go get a surrogate.
Wow.
So if they want to try it before going to a surrogate, that in the U.S., we know it's about $150,000
or more. Yeah.
It's a reasonable first try.
No, I will say you are ahead of the curve because you cannot get this treatment many places. So at the University of Vermont, I have patients asking me about this, and I tell them about you. And I say there's only a few people in the country doing this. You might need to travel, but this treatment's available. And now we're seeing some more data.
There is
to back it
data
up.
coming out, and this is scientific data that they show.
Yeah.
And China, they published studies with thousands of enrollment.
Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
The power of their studies are high.
That's amazing.
So that's what I thought.
That's great.
That I learned.
That's so good.
Anything else that you picked up?
Let's see. I mean, I did go to a talk on mentorship and how you can really, because I do a lot of education.
Yes.
So how can we really train the next generation in the best way possible and have some metrics and really give them tailored action plans, which I adore because I love education.
Yeah.
But I did go to a couple other interesting talks about in vitro fertilization and just sort of
awesome.
Really studying pre-implantation genetic implantation, pre-implantation genetic testing, and looking at are there any adverse effects from this newer technology in terms of birth defects. Also looking at, we always talk about what can I change, what can't I change. Many women do carry extra weight, and we've thought for a long time that might adversely affect pregnancy outcomes and things like that. And so, that is one thing that can be addressed is through diet and lifestyle interventions. Is really trying to optimize, the lifestyle to have the best possible outcome. So just so much learning today and so much collaboration. It's really encouraging to be on the forefront of this knowledge and the forefront of this change. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, as always. Yeah. So until next year.
Until next year.
Keep learning.
Keep learning. That's
all right.
Thank you, Dr. Amy.
Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated and is going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famiua.